Um, sorry I'm a little late. I think I was supposed to talk earlier, but anyway. Yeah, I was approached to write the foreword for this book right here that you guys are all going to buy. And I thought it kind of odd because, well, I like the title, Progressive Muslim Identities, because I struggle with my Muslim identity all the time. So I wrote the foreword for it, mostly about how I probably shouldn't be the person writing the foreword for this book. You know, I was raised Muslim. Some people are raised Muslim, and then some people have Islam thrust upon them. I don't know what that means, but I sort of was raised Muslim, but really, and my grandfather taught me how to read the Quran and all of that stuff. But I grew up in the UK and actually knew more probably about the Gospel according to Mark than I did about anything in the Quran for most of my childhood, and even tried to seduce a born-again Christian girl when I was in college by pretending that I was born-again Christian. But then my Muslim roots actually just took, they won, because I just couldn't get on board with this idea that Jesus was the Son of God. It just didn't sit well with me at all. And even though I went to Catholic, I went to Mass, to communion, did the whole thing, and then realized that it was trying to sleep with some girl because and pretending to be born again Christian was just very un-Christian-like. And so then I decided that maybe she would accept me if I became a born-again Muslim. So I used to go to her Bible studies with her and her friends. And then one day I suggested that I read passages from the Quran at her Bible study, which her friends all looked at me aghast, because they were sort of like, the idea of me coming to the Bible study was for them to convert me to Christianity, not for me to read the Quran to them. So I did, and I started reading passages from the Quran, which I didn't even really know. And all this was just an attempt to seduce this woman. And then she actually started to like me because she realized that we, because I found a sort of innate, a kind of latent passion for it, and sort of, so it was kind of, it was a circuitous kind of journey towards my relationship with Islam. And most of the time, like I said, I didn't really find much of an identity with it. And then September 11th happened, and I happened to get this job on The Daily Show, and suddenly I was in a fortunate or unfortunate, I don't know, position to represent something that I had a tenuous relationship with as it was. So suddenly there I was representing Islam in some way. And so, there is something kind of bizarre about the fact that I get to do that on The Daily Show, considering I struggle with my Muslim identity as much as I do. Like I said in the foreword, I've been to more bars than I've been to mosques. So I guess, but I feel like there is something inside of me that goes back to my sitting with my grandfather and learning how to read the Quran. It's cultural. It is an identity that reared its head when I was trying to seduce that born-again Christian girl. Cool. Did you just win? You scored big points there. That's what's going on inside my head right now. So yeah, I mean, you know, it's, I also, so the 9/11, you know, being on the Daily Show on 9/11 and all this sort of misunderstanding and this misrepresentation of Islam and all of this stuff, it's almost like, you know, somebody, like you don't have a really great relationship with your dad, but then when somebody else comes along and starts saying he's a jerk, you kind of like, wait a minute, hold on now. I don't like my dad that much, but he's not a jerk, you know. So it sort of felt like that, and you know, and I go back to my childhood in England, where being Muslim was kind of, let's just say that there was a lot of racism and a lot of, you know, I got chased home from the bus every day for being quote unquote a Paki, right? So by a bunch of white kids. So it sort of felt like that was all happening again on a larger scale. There was all this quote unquote Paki bashing going on a national level, on a media level, you know. And so it was interesting to me that I got to be in this position where myself and a bunch of Jewish writers got to comment on this stuff. Yeah, it's a strange, and I've talked to some really bizarre people in my few years on the Daily Show, and you know, I've spoken to far more Islamophobes than I would like to. And now suddenly, in the face of speaking to them, I'm representing something. I'm sort of representing their worst fear, you know, which is a bizarre position to be in. I talked to a woman in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, who was protesting a building of a mosque in Murfreesboro, and she had all these statistics about Islam that she had gotten off the internet, which is where you find all the truth, you know. And she explained to me that 30% of all Muslims were terrorists. And she looked at me and said, well, you do the math. And so I did do the math. And it's 1.25 billion Muslims in the world, so that's about 300 million terrorists. And I thought, what the hell is taking us so long? Why are we... I should have this wrapped up pretty quick. She didn't take kindly to that. She didn't really want me to do the math. You know, and it's a strange thing. I spoke to a cartoonist who had written a cartoon, who's a former, his family was Muslim, and he wrote a cartoon about a superhero who fights jihadis called Pigman. Which is a really good strategy, actually. If you really think you want to fight jihadis, you should be just dress up as a giant pig. If you want to protect America, just put a whole big wall of bacon around the country. If you want to protect your kids, just cover them in bacon fat. No Muslim terrorist will touch them. But yeah, but it's been a complicated, interesting journey, and I didn't really prepare a whole lot, but I just wanted to share that with you, and I know that people have been reading from the book, and it's a fascinating, the fascinating stories, the people that I've heard, and I think I encourage you all to buy it. So thank you for indulging me in my little plug for the book and plug for my movie Today's Special, which is coming out on DVD and Netflix in February. So put it on your Amazon queue, like Annie said. And that was also that was also an interesting thing. You know, we wrote this film called Today's Special, which happens to be about a Muslim family, my family really, and runs an Indian restaurant. And I remember it became, when we started writing it before 9/11, but then after 9/11, every image of Islam was sort of people praying with the World Trade Centers blowing up in the background. Every movie script I ever read or anything, you know, was always like started with this call to prayer and then planes flying. You know, and Hollywood just was exploiting this thing. And here was this movie that I had written that really was just about regular people who just happened to be Muslim, and it became in some way political by virtue of the fact that it wasn't dealing with any kind of terrorism or extremism or anything. It was just dealing with that and chicken masala, you know. So yeah, so I'm very proud of it, and I think you know, it's and there's a scene in it actually where the father and the son do pray namaz together, and I always thought it was sort of like my dream that like if I could always get an American audience to sit there and watch two Muslim men just praying namaz with no music, no nothing, no, like for like a minute, just that would be kind of an achievement, you know, like just to have them, and so that they would experience it in the way that I experienced it as a child with my grandfather, kind of thing, as a thing that is just about family, you know. So anyway, that's all I want to say. Thank you very much.
He holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Architecture from the University of